Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel where stories are told to promote mental health. I realized something pretty significant the other day that I would like to share with you. But first, have you ever thought about how the experiences that you had during your childhood still have an impact on you today? I'd never thought about this question before until I was asked to deliver a talk in a primary school with Steph Slack. We were both very aware that we couldn't give advice on parenting or how parents should look after the mental health of their children because after all, I'm just a 23-year-old kid, so what do I know? So rather than giving advice, we thought that we would use the stories of our childhood and draw out what we think still has an impact on us today. And what we discovered was incredible. I had never thought about it before. So in this video, I want to talk to you about some of the things that I realized myself, but I also want to share what I think the value is in actually going through your past and seeing what subconsciously still has an impact on you today. When I was in maybe reception, year 1 and 2, I really struggled to read because I couldn't speak. Well, I couldn't even speak till I was 3.5 years old, and I couldn't read properly till I was about 7. So I remember in school being at the front of the corridor where all the baby books were, and right at the end were the Harry Potters and the encyclopedias right at the other end of the corridor. And I still remember being at the front of that line, reading these baby books with like one sentence per page and loads of pictures, when like I'd look down to my right and I'd see all my friends and my peers reading big, thick, chunky books. So from literally day 1 of school, I didn't feel like I was as good as my peers. And when I was in year 5, I wouldn't say bullied, but I got mistreated by my primary school teacher. And I got thrown out of class all the time for not being able to do my work correctly by always asking questions because I was slow and being called disruptive as a year 5, which I think is crazy now. And rather than sitting down with me and going through how to resolve things and how to improve, she used to kick me out of class. And I spent the majority of my year 5 standing outside the corridor, not because I was misbehaved, simply because I wasn't that great at what I was doing. And almost, well, to the point when I broke down in front of my parents. I remember sat on the stairs when I was in year 5, and I told my mum that I hated school, and I explained to her the reasons for that, and she moved me to a different school in year 5. And then I remember being in year 6 in this new school. I remember sitting in the classroom and I had to stay over during the break because I couldn't figure out this one maths sum. So my teacher, as a punishment, made me try to do that sum during the break whilst I could see all of my friends playing on the playground. And the point to this is, based on all those stories, and there's so much more in my high school years as well, but that's only in my primary school ages. And the point of that is, that makes you feel worthless. It makes you feel like you're not as good as your peers. It makes you feel like there's something wrong with you. And for my whole life, even to this day, I've always felt like academically I'm not clever. I only took 5 GCSEs. I took 1 A-level. I didn't really have enough UCAS points to go to university. I never thought that I was academic. And I'd never really understood why I had that core belief. But obviously looking back, it's because literally from day 1 of school, I was at a disadvantage. And it was only because I realized later on in life that I had dyslexia and attention deficit disorder that only got picked up when I was 14 years old. And actually, when I studied for my university course, I didn't do that because I worked full-time and I studied part-time for 3 years, so I've only just stopped now. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted to prove to people that I could actually be academic. And I remember getting praise for like, Tom, you're so hardworking, you're so driven, you have a full-time job, but you're doing university part-time, and you're amazing, you're so dedicated. And on the outside, it looks amazing. But actually, on the inside, that hard work was driven by a deep-rooted insecurity that I wasn't good enough. And I felt like in order to prove my self-worth, I had to do well in my university work, hence why I put so much work in, and it was completely detrimental to my mental health. It dragged me into a place that I don't really want to visit again. And it's only now when I've realized that actually I can do things, like I am good enough and I don't need to prove myself for anyone, because I value my self-worth, and I realize that that comes from my internal being, not from external factors like grades or comments or anything of that nature. But it's taken me a very long time to discover that. And actually it took that one conversation I had with Steph Slack about understanding your insecurities and understanding how your childhood still has an impact on you. It's crazy what you discover. It's so crazy, it's really hard to describe. One thing that I really, really encourage you to do is sit down with someone and block out some really good time with them. Someone you trust and someone that you love. And go through your childhood and really think about what experiences that you might have had and how they might still impact you today. Because I truly believe that you will discover things that you never previously expected. All these things that are hidden in our subconscious that only come to fruition if you really think about them. And once you do think about them, you'll really understand why you are like you are and why you behave like you do. I think it'd be really valuable. It's been incredibly valuable for me, and since realizing that, I feel like there's just been a massive weight lifted off my shoulders. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And once you've had that conversation, once you've realized how your childhood has still had an impact on you today, and please do let me know. If you want to send me an email, you can do. It's all in the description. And I would just love to hear your thoughts and to hear how this video or other videos might have benefited you. But until next time, hope you keep well, and I shall see you at my next video.